Peer support programs are about belonging. They're about inclusion and involvement to overcome oppression and help us overcome isolation, two of the biggest things that lead to substance use.
I personally have never met a substance I didn't like, and to date, I have yet to meet a substance user that I couldn't relate to. So absolutely love what I do. Peer work means simply that somebody sees me and respects me.
Now, any peer will tell you there are the core peer values, which are hope and recovery, empathy, self-determination, dignity and respect, integrity, health and wellness, and lifelong learning, which I think is important for all of us.
The journey to heal can take years and years, and the substances and the mental health symptoms are simply symptoms of that trauma. And I think having somebody who understands that is really important. And again, because that relationship is very unique. Medical staff, social workers, you all have a really important role, but that role is different and it's boundaried in a different way, as it should be.
Within organizations that are multidisciplinary, it almost feels like there's sometimes tension between peer supporters and other practitioners or medical professionals or healthcare professionals in those settings. And I really feel like that tension is not needed, and I feel like it works against what we're all trying to do, which is to help people and to serve people.
For me in my role, there seems to be three main things that I find are important to the role of peer. First one being connection. Second one being going in with no agenda. And the third one being resources. Maybe
they talk to their psychiatrist about their medication, and then they talk to their therapist about the things that they're experiencing in terms of their symptomology, and then they talk to their fitness coach about their habits and how they can stay well physically and how that will benefit their mental health. And then for the peer supporter to kind of be the person who's been on that journey, utilizing that experience that we do have as peer supporters to help not only make sense of how all these pieces work together, but also how to help navigate them, and also maybe providing some tips and tricks. And the beauty of it is that now they get to walk that journey with us.
When the first time I actually spoke to a peer, they were concerned about security and things of that nature. And when I explained to them, even telling them I've been in that room myself, and I was actually in that room because I sought help here at North York. So when I was very honest with what was happening, it gave comfort to the peer. So when we speak about that, I've gone through my journey, and there's an understanding that happens when when you understand addictions from your own perspective.
And it's also the case that someone who has experienced crisis themselves often intuitively knows what kinds of things might be helpful or unhelpful in a crisis, and might also just feel more comfortable in a space of dealing with others in crisis, rather than finding those situations overwhelming, for example.
Particularly in the context of gender-based violence with a gender lens on it, because when we have experienced gender-based violence, there are elements of power and control that get reenacted just by the dynamics of the relationship between healthcare provider and survivor.
Peers are able to obtain further information that clients don't feel comfortable sharing with clinicians out of fear of judgment. Peers understand that there is an underlying issue that needs to be treated. Example, trauma, abuse, etc. Peer workers are able to de-escalate clients just from a place of understanding. That in turn does not introduce more trauma into clients' lives. Example, if security and/or police are called, or if the client is placed in restraints.
We need to do that with our Indigenous folks as well. We need to reach out, and I mean seriously reach out and put in play any of the community practices or services that are available. Let's make sure that the person presenting at the emergency department understands that that's available for them. Let's make a call. I can call the Indigenous Friendship Center and I can say, I've got somebody here and they'd like to come down and visit. I can get them there for 3 o'clock. Does that work? Bingo, we've got the next step.
We can connect them up with Bright Path, which is our mental health and addiction service at Nipissing First Nation. So we can combine the two together. One of the things for clinicians that is really worthwhile looking at, that I found very, very interesting, is the Indigenous mental wellness continuum. It was done a few years ago now, but it actually breaks down how to look at mental health care holistically, making sure that people have hope for their future, making sure that they have a purpose, that they have meaning in their life, that they feel like they belong somewhere. If they don't have those things, then they will not have mental wellness. And when you look at it from the Indigenous perspective, when they're talking mental wellness, it's not just mental health like we think in mainstream. Mental wellness means our wellness holistically. It means that our needs are all being met, that we have safe housing, that we have food security, that all of those things are in place. That brings mental wellness. And at True Self, that's really our goal, is to get people to that spot of mental wellness.
I mean, peer support is a thing of beauty. There's no doubt about it. It's a part of functional care. But when we're talking about crossing the line between peer support and primary care and being able to navigate that bridge, and make that bridge something that people can walk a little easier, well, that's what it's all about.
We need support from government levels in order for that to happen. But I think if we all put our voices together and if we speak loud enough, that we could make change. As much as people complain about the mental health and addiction system in this province, we've come a long, long way in the last 20 years, and that's been peer voice. We're the ones that have done that. We've brought that change forward, and I think we can continue to do that by identifying those grassroots needs. That's what keeps getting overlooked if we don't have the peer voice behind it.
I am able to connect the individuals that I work with to a myriad of resources. Food insecurity, housing insecurity, clothing, substance, mental health, self-harm, financial literacy and taxes, suicide, suicidal ideation, LGBTQ+, sexual assault, grief and loss, family counseling, support for young parents, overgaming, screen time, disordered eating, art therapy, physical health and yoga, and Ontario Works in ODSP.
We have so much programming, and their interest, they see the support that they're getting. As a matter of fact, a lot of the peers who come to our groups, their next step is to take peer support training. It's a very, very, very powerful training that we have, and they're interested in giving back. We have a membership of over 4,000 people. So these are peers. A lot of them have come from the hospitals and continue just to come to the groups, the different groups that we have at PSO.
I know that it's life-changing because I've had so many people talk to me and say, hey, being involved in a peer support program that I'm a part of or I've created, or being supported by myself or others has been extremely transformative in their lives. There's so much value there. There are so many success stories, and I think that's also the reason why I run into more and more young people, and maybe even not so young people, who are really interested in getting involved in peer support.
We're adding the faces, experiences, and the expertise of people who've been there, who see these difficult moments as an opportunity to grow and become the author of their own lives. Let's move from treatment and fixing to what we really should be striving for: hope, recovery, and thriving.
Join the peer movement. It's a way forward to holistic and equitable systems.